Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Jess and you are welcome. In today's video, I will be focusing solely on interview tips. When you think about interviews, you definitely want to think about it from three different angles. What do you do before an interview? What do you do during an interview? And what do you do right after an interview? If you want to hear more about this, then you should definitely stick around to the very end of this video and ensure to subscribe to my channel. Welcome back. In the spirit of keeping this video short and sweet, we're going to be focusing on one part of the three different parts of interviews, which is pre-interview. What do you do before an actual interview? If you applied for a job or to a company and you are anticipating a callback for an interview, or you have already even been invited for an interview and you're just waiting for the day to come, then the very first thing you want to do is research. You cannot over research. So you definitely want to do a lot of research on the role, research about the company, from the beginning of how the company was founded, when was it founded, who are the partners, who's the CEO, who's the MD. Depending on the type of structure that they have, you definitely want to know who the leaders are. So you want to research about their leadership, you want to research about their culture, you want to research about who used to be in the role, why this role is open, or are they looking for additional. You just want to do a lot of research. Everything you can possibly find on the internet or by asking questions from people who either work there that you know or someone that knows someone. Just do as much research as possible. Besides, sometimes when you're trying to apply to a job, you just want to hit send and move on to the next thing, and you don't necessarily do a lot of research about the company before you actually apply. So this is a good time to ensure that you've done your research. So research everything from like the business model, research the revenue, whatever information you can find online. There are companies that have their information public, you can check those out. Research their comp structure, their benefits. You can actually see most of these things on the internet. Go to Glassdoor, leverage all of these sites that share information where employees actually give reviews. And if you know anyone in the company, you can also ask questions. But this is a good time to do all of that research. You don't want to come to the interview asking the interviewers questions that you can find the answers to on the internet. Second thing you want to do is compare yourself, compare your skills and your qualifications and your experience to the job. Again, you might have done this before, just before application or before you apply to the job, but you definitely want to do it now that you've actually been called for an interview. Look at it from the angle of what are the strengths and skills that this job requires that I possess. So you want to look at it from that angle and find a way to shine through those skills and qualifications and experience that you possess. Is it a certain experience required in a certain industry? Is it the number of years of experience? Is it the types of project that you've worked on? Whatever it is, you definitely want to think about those and try to see how you can demonstrate your abilities during that interview. Then you also want to look at it from the other angle of what are the things that this job requires that I don't possess? Because let's be real, no one really meets like 100% requirement, and even if you do, there's something that you might just lack, and that's okay. So when people are shortlisting, when employers are shortlisting CVs, it's not always the perfect candidates that are shortlisted, right? It could be that they wanted 8 years experience minimum and you have 5 years. So there's a reason why they shortlisted you. You might not even know why, but you need to be very self-aware of the things that you do not possess that this role requires. So you want to think about those and possible questions that could come out of that. Number 3 tip is create an interview or pre-interview script. Basically, this is a script that highlights possible questions that could be asked during the interview based off your role, your experience, the requirements, etc. Think about the possible questions that can be asked, and also, of course, leverage the internet to get possible questions. And then you also want to think about your responses to these questions should they be asked. That's what the script is about. So you have possible questions and your responses to these possible questions. Tell me about yourself. That's a question that will most likely be asked in the beginning of your interview. So if you're looking for tips on how to answer that, you definitely want to watch my last video. You can find the link to that video in the description box below. So make sure you check that out if you're looking to know how to answer that effectively. Number 4, mock interviews. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. So this is a follow-up to the third point which I made on creating an interview script. So you definitely want to practice those responses to the possible questions that you've already drafted down, right? So you can do this by yourself, to be honest. You don't need anybody, but if you're comfortable, with somebody helping in role play, that's fine. So someone can act as an interviewer and you act as yourself, or you can just stick to the mirror. The mirror can never tell you lies. So I always use the mirror, just talk to myself. And you also want to be very self-aware when you're doing things like this, just so you can automatically give yourself constructive feedback. If you're looking in the mirror and you are answering a question and you notice that your body language is a little bit off, you're literally telling yourself, like yourself is telling yourself that, hey, fix that shoulder, fix that hand, or whatever. So you definitely want to leverage the mirror in giving yourself constructive feedback. It's super important. You can't miss it, except you're just not looking well. You definitely will see yourself nervous, you see how you are. So it's an automatic way to get you to feel comfortable with the interview. So whatever questions come your way, you'd have some good level of comfortability just being in an interview, being in front of an interviewer or interviewers, as the case may be, because you have practiced. So it helps build your confidence. It helps just mental readiness as well, just before the interview. So mock interviews are very good. Again, like I said, you don't really need anyone to help you. You can just really leverage your mirror. The 5th tip is prepare questions to ask. Now, I think I might need to do a separate video on this because this is something a lot of people struggle with. I mean, I have seen this in my interview rooms, like when I'm interviewing people, they sometimes don't have questions. So, and yeah, it can be a red flag. It can mean that you're not, it can implies the word, it can imply that you're not curious about the role, and a lot of companies want to hire people who want to know more even before they get in, if that makes any sense. So it could be that you're not enthusiastic about the role. It could mean many things to the employers. So you definitely want to come armed with questions, especially questions that are not completely generic, questions that make them think. You want to ask questions about the role, specific to the role, things like what are the current challenges with this role? Why are you looking to hire this person? Is this a new role? Is this an old role? Why does this role exist now? You can also ask questions like the gaps that this role would need to fill, just so you can start to anticipate the type of work that you would come in to do should you get selected. You can also ask questions about the company, what are the company's goals for the new year or for the rest of the year. You want to ask these things because most companies, actually all companies, should be looking for people who are business savvy, where you are not just coming in to fill a role, you're coming to fill a role that would help the organization achieve their goal. But it is so important, so please make sure that you're asking questions, and you don't have to ask 10 questions or even 5 questions. Well, 3 to 5 isn't so bad, so you can think about 3 to 5 key questions that you would ask. But please do not leave an interview room without asking any question. Like, regardless of the different stages you're passing through, there's a question for everybody. I mean, you're meeting a different interviewer almost every time that you're moving through the next stage. So there has to be something different that person can tell you. So think. Just make sure you prepare questions. Now, I have a bonus point. I always have bonus points because I really wanted to keep this at 5. But I have a bonus point, and this bonus point is not applicable all the time. If you can't do it, it's fine. But I always tell people, if it's a physical interview, meaning an interview where you have to actually go to an office or go to the organization to attend the interview, then you can take time out a day or 2 before the interview to drive down to the interview site. You're not going into the company. Like, just figure out where it is, know the environment, like just do a survey of the environment. What that does for you is it helps reduce any form of nervousness that you could possibly have. It gets you more comfortable. It's like, oh, I know where I'm going to, and you're just driving through, like it's so easy for you. And then also it just makes you feel familiar, like, you know, it's a familiar territory. So obviously there are interview nerves that almost everybody feels, like even the most confident people, you know, still get, you know, a little bit nervous every now and then. And imagine if you are a complete nervous type of candidate, then this would definitely help you feel more confident, feel more comfortable, and just generally less nervous. So that's a bonus tip. Like I said, it's not something everyone can do. If it's a virtual interview, then you definitely don't need that, because I mean, what are you surveying? Where are you going to? But if it's a physical interview and you have the time and bandwidth, just try it. All right, people, if you found this video useful or helpful to you in any way, or you're currently preparing for an interview, I wish you all the best. But ensure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you're looking to hear more content on career tips, interview tips, job application, CV, and all that good stuff. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and hit the notification bell just so you get notified when I post new videos on YouTube. In the meantime, guys, I will see you in my next video. Take care and stay safe.